My name is Kirk Buschenfeld. For those that don't know me, I'm the... Just wait, we got something for you. I'm the president of the Natick Athletic Hall of Fame. I'd like to welcome you to our second annual induction ceremony. We have such a tradition, a rich tradition here in Natick of coaches, athletes, teams, contributors. As I said last year at our first induction, it's been a long time coming, a long time coming. We have so many. I know, and again, I hope I'm not using the same lines as last year, but I know I'm a carpetbagger. I've only been here for 38 years. I wasn't born here, but my wife was, so I'm half here. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good thing I'm married to my wife. Yes. So at that, as I'm saying, we just have so many. I'm looking back at the histories of teams and players and coaches, and a group of us a few years ago decided that enough is enough. We've been talking about it for years, and we finally did something. And I think last year, for those of you that were here last year, I think you will agree that it was an outstanding event. And I know that tonight's will also be an outstanding event. The inductees and teams being inducted tonight, as you will hear, and as you probably saw from some of the pictures and the video that was going out in the hallway, it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing, the accomplishments of these individuals and teams and coaches. And it's just, I am so proud to be part of this. And again, I'd just like to welcome you here tonight. It is my pleasure to introduce Representative David Linsky, who would like to make a presentation. Thank you. David?
All right, good evening, everybody. I know the last thing that anyone wants to hear tonight is a politician, so I'm going to be very, very brief. I promise you that. I'm here because we get to honor a whole group of people who are graduates of the greatest high school in the history of the world, as far as I'm concerned. I'm a little biased on that one, needless to say. There's obviously a lot of people being honored tonight, great names in the history of Natick athletics. You know, we've got a Sticker, we've got a Marceau, we've got a Whalen, we've got, we've got so many, Sue Ehrlich, we've got Darren Flutie, we've got some great teams here, we really do. And so in honor of that, the Massachusetts House passed a bunch of resolutions this week. And I'm not going to go through all the whereases and all that kind of stuff, but I'll give you the gist of it. And I'll just read one of them, I'll say. I'm just going to have to pick one out at random here. And the one that I'm going to pick out at random is the 1974 Natick High School football team for some reason here. Any members of the Natick High School class of 75 here by chance? Anybody here? Could you stand up if you remember the class of 1975? Come on, yeah, come on, guys. All right, yeah. I actually read a column this week. I read a column that Barbara Souza, who's here, handed me from I'll do the math for you, Sue. I'm gonna steal your line. That was in the Sassaman, and it was called The Greatest Class in the History of Natick High School. That was the Natick High School class of 75. There's probably 200 people in here who'll dispute that, but I'm gonna take that right here. So anyways, this is what the Massachusetts House passed this week. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the House of Representatives, be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to the Natick High School football team, 1974 Super Bowl champions, in recognition of your dedication to Natick High School athletics and your induction into the Natick High School Athletic Hall of Fame. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Given this 5th day of May 2011 at the State House, Boston, Massachusetts, Robert DeLeo, Speaker of the House. And it's offered by Natick's 2 state representatives, myself, David Linsky, and Alice Hanlon-Peisch. Congratulations, not only to the people being inducted here today, but everybody here today who helps make this program and this dinner possible. This is a great tradition that just got started last year, and it's part of being the great tradition of the greatest town in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We all know it. We prove it to everybody else in every single way. Congratulations to all the inductees, their friends, their families, and everybody here. Congratulations. I'm going to leave these up here for later, and thank you very much for including me in this tonight.
But we'd like to start the program at this time. And as with any program, any event, there are certain individuals, organizations, businesses that I feel need to be thanked, and I would like to do that quickly before we have our Master of Ceremony come up. First of all, if the other 4 members of the Executive Committee could please stand. Mary Johnson, our Secretary, Mike Fair, our Treasurer, Bobby Annabali and Bob May are the Directors. As some of you who have done things like this, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes in order to put on a successful event, and they are tremendous workers, and I thank them very, very much for all of the help in helping to put this on. Also, there's one other member. There are 15 members of the selection committee, but before I have them stand, there is one member who we always put in charge of the actual event, and she does yeoman work. And I'd like Judy D'Antonio to please stand up. As I mentioned, there are 15 members of the selection committee. We put together the bylaws. The 5 of us on the executive committee, we do not vote. We just put it all together. And these 15 members give their time, volunteer their time to actually do the voting and the selection. And at this time, those members that are here, if they would stand up, please. I believe there are a few members from last year's induction, either individual or team members. And if at this time, if those individuals would please stand, the first induction group. I'd like to also introduce our new athletic director, Mr. Tim Collins. If he could stand, please. Our superintendent, Peter Sanchioni, and our principal, Rose Bertucci, they're both at a conference and were not able to make it. I know they both were planning on coming, but we thank them for their support. But Margaret Bedreau, our new vice principal at the high school, if she could stand. She's somewhere here. She was. Either she's being shy, which is not Margaret, or she's not in here at the time. There are a number of sponsors, and I'm going to mention some of our major sponsors, and there are others that are in today's program, and I really encourage you to look through this program. But the numbers, the people that really have given us tremendous support both years. John Everett and Son Funeral Home. I know Joe is here. Fair and Yeager Insurance Agency. Middlesex Savings Bank. And Roach Brothers Supermarkets. I'd also like to thank Paula Homer, who is not here, but she owns Natick Awards Unlimited, and she did the paperweights and the plaques that will be given out tonight. Natick Pegasus, both Dan McDermott over here and Brian Palmer is right here. I'd like to thank them. Mr. Lewis Glass from Paradise Photo and Video is over here, taking pictures of the evening. Jill Porter, who is not here, but I don't believe, but she owns Pedal Pushes Floral Studio, and she donated the corsages and flowers for the evening. Again, quickly, a few others, important people. There are others who have supported us, and again, they are in the booklet. But to save time, I will ask you to read that. But David Jacobson, who is our website manager, Henry Masser, over here, who has put together our video presentation. Peter Mundy and Al Del Monte, who did voiceover and have helped in that production as well. And at this time, just make sure I haven't forgotten anybody. Well, before I introduce our Master of Ceremony, I just want to make that another announcement that we are a nonprofit. We do not, everything that we get from donations and the ticket sales and what have you goes into this production and the awards that are given out. So again, we are a nonprofit, and we'll be looking for help again next year so that we can put on our 3rd annual event. And lastly, understand that this is for high school only, your high school career. I know there are some who have been selected already, those that will probably be selected down the road, who have had tremendous college, pro careers, and that's all well. We will mention that when those individuals are brought up. But the selection is based strictly on your high school career. And I want to make that very, very clear because there seems to be some confusion on that. And secondly and lastly, there are some individuals out there who I think certainly deserve to be on the Hall of Fame, but people have not selected them yet, have not put in paperwork yet for those individuals. So again, I encourage you to go on our website. We have papers around town as well that you can fill out. But please, if you think there's somebody that deserves to be on here, please fill it out. Don't think that, well, somebody else probably did it. Do it anyways. I'd rather get 10 on the same person than to have people think that they've been selected and not have them. So, at this time, I would like to introduce a woman who has helped us both last year, this year, in so many other ways. People across the state and the country know her as a Channel 5 reporter, but we know her as a member of Natick. And we are very proud at this time to bring up Susan Warnick. I told you. I told you.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
And you can make comments on any of that if you'd like.
Oh, boy. Thank you and good night. Oh, that's pretty funny. Natick High, class of 67, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. 61. I'll save you the trouble. Well, you know, you'd be thinking she was 18 when she graduated, and now this is too, wow, that's really something. It's not me in the picture, though, I'm telling you. I don't know where they found that. It's pretty funny. John Canary, wow. So I'm thrilled to be here. I mean, I really, I love Natick. It's just that simple. I love Natick. People say to me all the time, wow, you got a great job. Where'd you go to school? And I say, Natick High. And they say, no, 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 where'd you go to college? And I said, college meant really very little to me. I got my roots at Natick. I learned everything I really needed to, excuse me 1 minute. I learned about people, I learned about respect, I learned about love, and I learned about what education really is. And education is not just what you learn in a book. Education is learning how to succeed in life, and that's what Natick was about. Teachers at Natick High School, Wilson before that, and even Lilja, taught us all in Natick how to respect ourselves and each other. And you know what? There's really nothing more important than that, except, of course, athletics. I was so far from being an athlete, I can't even tell you. I was in the band. I played the clarinet and the bass clarinet, and I love to tell the story about how once Mr. Lopresti, was getting us all together, and I was going to play the clarinet in the marching band, and I said, Mr. Lopresti, I don't have a reed. And he said, oh, honey, that's all right. And for the longest time, I thought it was a compliment. So we have wonderful awards tonight. Before we get into them, though, I do want to thank those of you who have asked about my mom. Myrna Billion is great. She is 96 years old and still driving her convertible with her name on the license plate. Really, really. When you see her, you got to beep and you got to wave. She says to me, Susie, everybody knows me. They all go, Myrna, hi. I don't tell her, it's on the license plate. But you can find her at Casey's on any given Friday afternoon. She's really amazing. She would have been here tonight, actually, had she been invited. No, of course she was invited. But Thursday nights are big mahjong nights. Last time I got engaged, I said, Mom, I'm getting married. And she said, well, I hope it's not Thursday. So one more thing that I want to say before we get into this is, as Kurt just said, one of the things that's most amazing about the Home of Champions, and isn't it just a little ironic we're in Framingham? Am I the only, that just lost on me? Is that we've honored some people last year and we will tonight, but there were so many people, really, over the years, who we all know, who really gave Natick the reputation that it has. And so I just wanted to underscore what Kurt said about really think about it. Go home and nominate the people. And there will be a special award to anyone who nominates me. The program is going to go like this. I'm going to name the person or persons. Someone is going to come up. Hopefully they will come up or someone in their behalf. And we have a very short speaking program. Kurt, I could have listened to you speak forever. And for a few minutes, I thought I was going to have to. And that's what you get for putting my high school picture up. Touche. Okay? Now we're even. Our first award tonight is the Administrative Contributor, Class of 1955, Robert Galani. Let me tell you a little bit about him before his son Paul comes up. A lifetime of contributions to the Natick Public Schools and Natick High School athletics. His career spanned a time of 50-plus years as a contributor, athlete, teacher, faculty manager, and also, of course, coach. Responsible for organizing, maintaining, and overseeing the off-season weight training program at the Natick High School Fitness Center for more than 10 years. All-league in football, baseball, and also hockey. The Boston Herald All-Star in football, 1954 through 1955, voted the Massachusetts Football Coaches Association Assistant Coach of the Year, and that was in 1983. Award of distinction bestowed upon him by the Massachusetts Baseball Coaches Association in the year 2000. Robert Galani, Robert E. Galani, truly a great man and inspiration to so many. And accepting this award, his son Paul.
this is just awesome. I mean, as Kurt mentioned, this is something that's well overdue and absolutely belongs in the town of Natick. Just on behalf of the Galani family and my dad especially, to Coach Buschenfeld, Coach May, Coach Annabali, and Mary Johnson, and Mike Fair, and the rest of the committee, this takes a ton of work to pull together, and just a fantastic venue. You know, just a couple quick things. When my dad asked me to come up as soon as he found out about the event and that he was being inducted, he said, "Would you come up and say a few words for me?" I said, "Absolutely. I'd love to. This is fantastic. It's where you belong, and to have me come up and talk towards this would be just simple, easy." You know, one of the things about my dad growing up, and I had I think probably everybody has at some point in time heard one of his speeches, either at a banquet or some kind of organizational gathering, and it's always a treat. And you can go on for hours with the stories, whether he's making fun of his kids, making fun of students, calling the kids at the end of the hallway in the B wing in the smoking area zits, and how much you want to throw a grenade at them in the afternoon. But one of the things he always ends his stories with, and I've always admired this, and it's just, you don't find a lot of people that say this. He said, first of all, I go to work every day, and I go to work because I enjoy teaching and coaching your kids or your students, and that gives me the satisfaction like nothing I have. But more importantly, I get up every day and look forward to going to work, and that is wonderful for me to do that, and where else can I do that? And to do it in the town of Natick was such a treat for him. And I remember him saying that, I was like, how many people get up every day? Because I know I don't. And say, geez, I'm going to work, and he would get to work at what, 6:30? School opens at what, 8? I don't get up in the morning thinking, this is going to be I love going to work. So, money didn't mean anything to him. Recognition doesn't mean anything to him. And I always thought that was pretty cool. And just real quickly, my mom's out here, and my mom is what I call the heart and soul of our family. Without her, we're nothing, and my father will be the first one to tell you that. And then we have a table, if they could stand up, all the grandkids. This is what his life's all about today. Colin, Derek, Eric, all the guys. You'll be hearing a lot of great things about them in years to come. Just a fantastic bunch of folks, and love their grandfather more than anything. Introduce the girls. He wants me to introduce my wife Karen, Priscilla, my brother Steve's wife, and Martha, my brother Pete's wife. Holds them dear to his heart, more so than probably his sons. One quick story, and I told this to Coach Lamb, I think, at Thanksgiving Day, and I don't know if I mentioned it to my father. The kids all have everything down so basic when you ask them their opinion, and when they say the things they say. And my son Henry and I, we have a ritual, and a lot of the old football players come in, and they go to the Elks breakfast in the morning, and then they head over to the football coach's locker room, and the coaches have the door open and want to see all the old football players. So I said, come on, Henry, get in the car. We're going to the Elks. We're going to pick up Nono, and we're going to go to the breakfast, then we're going to go see the coaches. And we get in the car. He goes, Nono's coaching today? Nono's Italian for grandfather, by the way. Nono's coaching today? I go, no, Nono's not coaching today. Nono, we're just picking him up. He's going to go visit everybody. He's like, what about Coach Lamb? Is Coach Lamb coaching today? I said, no. Coach Lamb's not coaching today. He's like, Jesus, Dad, all the good coaches are leaving. He goes, Dad, who's going to know who I am when I get up there? I said, listen, the guy that's there now, he played for He played for Coach Lamb. He said, he did? He said, yeah. I said, he was good. Coach Mortarelli, he knows who you are. He knows Nono. He knows Coach Lamb. They think he's great. Was he any good, Dad? I said, he was fantastic. He goes, Dad, was he undefeated? Did he go undefeated, Dad? I go, no. He didn't go undefeated. I said, but Nono loves these guys, and my father is he loves to see Natick people do well. When Mort got the job, it was fantastic. He's never asked for anything, but when this committee was put together last year and he was on the committee, the first thing he said to me when it was over, he says, this Hall of Fame thing is pretty special, I said, yeah, it is. He said, what are we going to do about that? I said, are you asking me to nominate you? And I see my mother out of the corner of my eye going, Bob, you don't need that. You've had enough. And I go, Dad, you want me to nominate you? He goes, well, that would be that's kind of a nice idea. you come up with that yourself? And I said, not a problem, well worth it. So, on behalf of my father and the family, this is awesome, and I thank you. Do you want to say a couple thank yous?
Thank you.
There you go. So, thank you very much. Yeah, let me look, yeah.
We need to come over here. We need to get a picture with that plaque.
Where do you want it? Oh, here? Did you? Congratulations, Coach. From the class of 1977, for swimming and outdoor track, who is better than Sue Ehrlich? Two-sport athlete, girls swimming, co-captain varsity 3 years, voted MVP in 1974, 75, 76. The Boston Globe All-Scholastic Girls Swim Team, 1976. State high school girls swimming top 10 in 1974 and 1975. The 1974 state record for 100-yard freestyle. The 1976 NAGWS record in 200-yard individual medley, high school All-American in swimming for 1977. Natick Coaches Association Outstanding Athlete for Girls Swimming in 77. Girls Outdoor Track, co-captain, varsity, 3 years. Voted MVP in 1976 and 1977. Bay State League record for the 880-yard run in 1977. The Natick High School record for 440-yard run in 1976. The Natick Coaches Association Outstanding Athlete for Outdoor Track in 1977. Sue Ehrlich, truly amazing. And accepting for her tonight, track coach Tom Brenneman. Can we do a picture first?
Unfortunately, Susan couldn't make it tonight, so she asked me to speak. I was her coach in high school. I was a young kid. I was 27. I can't believe I was 27. I graduated in '68, Susan. How old does that make me?
I don't want to go there.
No, okay, thank you. When you're that young, you think, gee, I'll have a ton of kids like this. But, I mean, she's still unique. No one's run faster than her at her distance, since 1977. We've had some very, very good athletes. I think that's just amazing. Cut me a little slack here. I don't normally talk about myself in the third person, so I'm just reading what Susan wrote. Fellow athletes, coaches, supporters, and committee members, I am delighted that Tom Brenneman is willing to speak for me tonight, even as I'm dismayed that I cannot personally be part of this evening's ceremony. Graduating from NHS launched me on a journey that currently has me practicing psychiatric medicine on the Navajo Nation reservation of remote Arizona. This may not sound too far away, but commercial airlines seem to think it is. Therefore, I've asked Tom to say a few words for me, inspired by the high honor of this Hall of Fame induction. When my family came to Natick in 1969, we found an established community with many multi-generational residents. Yet there was room for what we had to offer. We lived at the corner of Pond and Pitt Streets near the active downtown area. In practical terms, this put us within walking distance of opportunities such as schools, libraries, shops, jobs, dance lessons, friends' homes, community events, and Dug Pond. The life of the family station wagon was prolonged with the miles we put on our sneakers and bicycle tires. In a larger sense, we were right near the vitality and centralizing influence of the heart of Natick. In fact, years later, I described my hometown to people starting with the town common. If they're familiar with the Boston Marathon, they know exactly what I'm talking about. If they're movie buffs, they think I may have brushed shoulders with Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. That aspect of Natick, which is both solid as a community and yet also benefits from fresh ideas and the contributions of each of its members, was an important part of my athletic experience in NHS. Both swimming and track emphasize individual performances that accumulate to create the overall team achievement. Each person's effort is crucial. The social context of the early 1970s further contributed to this connection between individual and group accomplishment. Support for girls swimming and track were in their infancy, and swimming was just beginning to be a high school sport. The open-mindedness, determination, creativity, and enthusiasm of participants, spectators, and coaches of girls' teams collectively made a huge difference for subsequent generations of female scholar athletes. Aside from its balance of community and individualism, Natick has another way of nurturing athletic achievement. There are multiple levels at which to participate and many avenues for successful and satisfying physical activity. I was able to move from our July 4th races on the football field to Recreation Department Summer Swim League to junior and senior high school teams, and eventually year-round competition in nearby facilities at the state, regional, and national levels. Ultimately, this foundation, steady progression, resulted in a swimming scholarship at the University of Virginia and the opportunity to compete in the NCAA Women's National Track Championships. The Hall of Fame emphasizes the value of the pursuit and excellence in sports. By seeking to meet our personal potential and to share in the high success our teams could achieve, we all learned life lessons. We have confidence that dedication to excellence, discipline, and the investment of time and effort will yield accomplishment. We know that each person matters, opportunity for growth continually rise, and often more is possible than we ever dare dream. I'm not quite finished this. I'll be right there. I'm immensely grateful for my experience in Natick High athletics, for the interest, expertise in carrying my high school coaches, Dave Webb and Tom Brenneman, and for the honor of being included in the Hall of Fame. Thank you. Yeah, I hope I do.
Thank you. The great Natick High School football team of 1949. Yeah, huh? And there I am, standing in the back. Do the math. That was the year I was born. Natick's first undefeated football team, state Class C champions, a record of 9-0. Midland League champions, scored over 240 points against Clinton, Milford, Wellesley, Needham, Marlborough, Maynard, Norwood, Hudson, and Framingham, giving up only 40. And I want to name all of the members of the 1949 Natick High School football team. Wallace Montgomery, Joseph Kane, Scott Hendren, Joseph White, Fred Brenneman, Robert Goodall, Richard Rock, Robert Cochran, Theodore Piers, Charlie Sticka, John Christofoli, William Linane, Richard Zanaboni, Pandy Tatuni, Albert Troya, Robert Montagna, John Indelicato, Don Barber, Hanson Hedrig, Joseph Rock, Philip Russell, John Quilty, Sam Bassett, Roland Taylor, Charles Slamman, Dee Matthews, Walter Powell, Malcolm Carey, William Thomas, William Higgins, Richard Green, Ronald Spinazzola, David Porter, R. Woods, William Seeley, Fred Byers, William Ethron, Thomas Curley, Barry Higgins, Richard Hubbard, Alfred Nicicioni, George Finley, Morris Woodsum, George Wardwell, David Murphy, John Sheehan, Dee LePage, William Wright, Daniel Bach, P. Lane, William Wilson, Robert Cashman, Jay Cadlick, and Don Grady. On behalf of the entire team, accepting tonight, Joe Kane, co-captain. Anybody from the team, come on up. Joe is accepting, but if you are here from the team of 1949, please come on up. You guys look great. Wow. Yeah, come on up. up. Wait, dude. Wow. These guys look great.
I'd like to say thank you to the committee for, and I was calling everybody and saying we're getting indicted. Sorry about that, but I just want to reflect on a few things that what high school was like when we were back there. We didn't have a football field to play on. We played all our home games up in Framingham. I don't know if a lot of people know about that. The football coach, Henry Ploss, had retired the year before. So we were kind of lost, really. But Jerry Slamman came up and said he would take it for a year or two. And we played 150% for Jerry Slamman. The biggest men on the team were Wally Montgomery and Charlie Sticker, who weighed 185 pounds. Dickie Rock, who was all scholastic, and Scott Heckendon, who went in the service for 20 years and came out a lieutenant colonel, were 182 pounds and 184 pounds. Joe White, who's here, and Bobby Goodall were the two guards, and they weighed 179 and 170 pounds. Freddie Brenneman, our center, and really an animal, he played linebacker, and I think I only made 10 tackles all year long. I was playing on his side. He got him way before I could get up there. We also had Teddy Pierce and John Christofoli. Teddy was 175, and John weighed 155. And myself and Bobby Cochran weighed 170. There was 3 men that went on to college that year. One was Scott Heckendon, who went to Bucknell and went in the service and stayed in there for 20 years and came out a lieutenant colonel. 8 of the members of this team were in the service within a year because the Korean War broke out. Bobby Cochran was an end who scored the touchdown in the Framingham game finally. He always said he went on to catch the winning pass for Harvard against Yale. And then he became Pete Rozell's right-hand man in the NFL. I called him for tickets so my 2 sons and myself could get down and watch the Giants and the Redskins. And he said, "Sorry, Joe, you didn't throw the ball to me enough." Needless to say, we sat on the 50-yard line on the top second deck. There were some of the things on this team was there was no individuals. Everybody gave 150%. We knew we were up against it because we were kind of scared. When Jerry Slamman came over to me and said, "Joe, you know, I don't know a thing about offense." He says, "I've been the line coach here for so many years," he says, "and Mr. Ploss never involved me in the offense. He only involved me in the linemen and the defense." I said, "We won't have a problem with that. I've been watching pro football on the TV." Of course, we only had TV for about 3 years then.
Was I on it?
Sorry, I brought it up. I don't have the answer. So, over the years, we had been trying to win a state championship. We came real close. In our sophomore year, we won 8 games and tied 1. In the junior year, we lost 1 game and tied 1. And then in the senior year, we won 9 games and lost none, and we were the state champions. So for the members, the senior members of this team, we won 24 games, we lost 1, and we tied 2 games. That's in 3 years. some of the statistics of the team were we only allowed 40 points, and we scored 240. The 40 points were scored against the JV teams, except Marlboro and Maynard. The backfield statistics for that year were John Christofoli, who had 21 carries, and we moved John into the backfield to take the ball in the Framingham game so he could score a touchdown, because John was a ferocious blocker. We had a what they called an open box formation, where there was two halfbacks that played 1 yard behind the tackles, and the two deep backs, which was Charlie Sticker and myself, who always got the ball. So John didn't get the ball that much, but we always gave it to him once in a while, and he had a 7.9 average every time he took the ball. Teddy Pierce, who's no longer with us, was also the blocking back, and Teddy took the ball for 20 times for 230 yards with a 11.5 average. Charlie Sticker, who took the ball 77, and but for a few injuries that he missed a couple of games, would have had much more, had 77 carries for 494 yards and a 6.4 average. And me, 140 carries. I was a hog, because I mean, we had other players that came in, but I didn't trust them. And I gained 850 yards with a 6.1 average. Almost every game we played, the JVs always got to play, because our motto was we had to get ahead as fast as we could, so we'd have the JVs in the game so that it would build on the following years. And they played all but 2 games that were real close, but they played every one of those games. In the Framingham game, when we went up there, we had we were tied for first place with Taunton, and Taunton was playing Cambridge Latin, and we were playing Framingham. Taunton lost to Cambridge Latin 19-12, and Natick beat Framingham 39-0 to win the state championship. The coach of the Taunton team was Joe Hogue, and he came to Natick 2 years later after Jerry Slamman to become the coach here for many years. In the Framingham game, we were ahead 7-0. I'm sorry, before we scored the first touchdown, we went down to the 4-yard line, and I called a play, and Wally Montgomery said, "Joe, let's kid him and let's fool him. You throw me a little pass out in the flat." And I said, "Wally, you won the shoes last year. I got holes in mine. I'm scoring first." And then I ran in for 4 yards. Teddy Pearson caught a pass for 6 yards and ran in for 14. Charlie Sticker ran 18 yards for 21-0. Bob Cochran caught a 21-yard pass for 27-0. We moved John Christofoli back into the backfield and let him run in, and it was 33-0. Then Montgomery caught a 60-yard pass from me for 39-0, and that was the end of the seniors. All the rest of the JV teams went in at the end of the 3rd period and played all of the 4th. In the Framingham game, we played 3 plays in the second half, and the JV team played the rest of the game. So in the end, I'd just like to say that we were started out pretty tough with no fields when we first got to Natick High School, and in the end, we wound up with the state championship and the first team to do something like that. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. It's a great talk, too. I have to tell you, I hope you agree, I love this night. Really. It's really a living history. Right, Coach Lamb? Mary Sneakloff says hello. And Paul, thank you. Give her my love. The 1974 Super Bowl champs, Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit about the team. Opened its season with a win over Brockton and followed this with 7 straight wins over Dedham, Braintree, Needham, Norwood, Wellesley, Framingham North, and Framingham South on Thanksgiving Day. Bay State League champs for 74. First football team at Natick High School to become Super Bowl champions in 1974. And I want to tell you the names of the team members. The co-captains, Renato Denaro and John Melchiori. Also Steve Melchiori. Team members, Brian Belmore, Herbert Allen Black III, Robert Canary, Jonathan Coleman, Rick Condon, David Cote, Jim Dale, Mark Devane, Daniel Donahue, Norman Estes, John E. Gallagher III, Gary Gilday, Mitchell Haddad, James Cadleck, Peter Lane, Scott McPhee, Michael Montgomery, Robert Naranjo, William Prim, Terrence Richards, Donald Sharon, Philip Schumann, Richard Vaughn Jr., David Wells, James Yancey Jr. The varsity team, Michael Barker, William Kavanaugh, Peter Dillhanty, Daniel Donovan, Jeffrey Jama, James Fahey, Mark Farrell, Brian Fitzpatrick, Frederick Forrest, Russell Fortini, Richard Gorman, William Geisler, Sean Griffin, Dale Henderson, Joseph Kane, Thomas Cass, Richard LaChance, Stephen Lee, William McBreen, Stephen O'Miller, Joseph Misha, James Morrell, Peter Pease, Scott Riley, Marcella Salvatierra, Richard Santello, and Thomas Woodyard. And accepting tonight for the 1974 Great Natick High School Super Bowl champion team, Warren Prim and Dan Donahue. And all the team members who are here, come on up. All of the team members. And the sons and daughters and other family members who are accepting the award for their dads, please come up. I remember.
Okay, it's an honor to be inducted into the Natick Home of Champions Hall of Fame. First, I'd like to remember 2 very special people, Bob Whalen, our coach, and John Carroll, who are both no longer with us. Both coaches were mentors to me and others on our team. Second, Bob Galani, truly a wonderful person who was my baseball and football coach through my sophomore and through my senior year. His humor on the practice field was particularly memorable, truly Hall of Fame. I'd also like to remember 2 teammates who are no longer with us. First is Fred Forrest, a hard-nosed defensive lineman, actually best described by Bob Lesniak article that somehow I found that was written in 1994, and Dan's just going to read a little bit about Freddie. Moral support. Thank you.
Forrest, one of the first superstars. Former player shined in 1974 bowl victory, Bob Lesniak. The year was 1974, and Brockton and Natick were the two best football teams in Eastern Mass. Natick had lost only 3 games during the 2 previous seasons, but had failed to earn the Super Bowl berth. Brockton, meanwhile, had won 2 straight Division I Super Bowls. The two powers squared off in the 1974 season opener, knowing that the loser would probably not go to the big game. The starting middle guard on Natick's defensive line for that game was junior name Fred Forrest. Just over a week ago, the 1976 graduate passed away at his home in New Jersey after a long illness. Bob Galani, an assistant coach under Bob Whalen, was saddened by the news of Forrest's death. Bob said, "It always makes me sad when I hear about young person passing away, but I have a particularly difficult time when tragedy hits a kid I have coached," said Galani.
The second is John Melchiori. I don't have the article with me, but these are my quotes that I gave Lenny Megliola on an article that Lenny wrote when John passed a couple of years back. I told him, in my opinion, John was the finest schoolboy athlete I ever saw growing up in the Framingham and Natick area. And I moved to Natick when I was in my sophomore year, so I got to play a lot of football and baseball with Natick boys. He had a tremendous athletic ability, tremendously fast. He was our punter, and he could also throw very well. I was a freshman playing against Natick at the Natick High sophomore field, and I was catching, and John was at the plate, and a ball came high and inside, and he went back, and his shoulder blades almost touched the ground, and I couldn't believe it. One time in a football game, we were about 5 yards out. I handed him the ball. Some linebacker hit him square up. He just stood and spun and went in like it was nothing. Baseball coach John Carroll thought that I was going to be his first 400 batter. John Mel was. Both are in my memory forever. Special moments during the season come to my mind. Walpole, playing a hard game against that team, and Coach Lee, General Lee, I believe we called him, and we had a play called the Comeback 22, where everyone went left, John faked left, and went right, and Phil Schumann pulled as a guard, and the play didn't go. And Bob Whalen sent a pass play in, and Phil Schumann looked at me, and he had fire in his eyes, and he says, "No, you run that play again. You run the Comeback 22 again, and I'm going to take my man out." Guess what? That play ran for a touchdown to win the game, and boy, did I think Coach Whalen was going to give me heck. And I got a big hug when I went to the sideline. Second moment for me that I recall, against my Framingham North team that I quarterbacked when I was a freshman. We fought a hard battle. Last play of the first half, long bomb to Jay Gallagher, went for a touchdown. 6-0 was the score at the end of the game, and my ribs are still sore from when Craig Balin whacked me. Super Bowl victory against Reading. Couple of unsung heroes I'd like to mention in that game. I dislocated my elbow in the second quarter. Gary Gilday came in and led this team to victory. Second unsung hero, Dan Donahue. 3 touchdowns in that game. Finally, the town of Natick was so elated that we won the Super Bowl, they took up a collection. $20,000 sent our entire team to Washington, D.C. 20,000 went a lot back in those days. We went to the Arlington Cemetery, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the Kennedy Graves, the Smithsonian Institute, lunch with ex-Buffalo Bills quarterback Senator Jack Kemp, and we went to the Harlem Globetrotters. Meadowlark Lemon, Curly Neal were popular back then. Playing football in Natick was truly a memorable time, and I'll leave you with a quote that Rich McCarthy said one day when we were going out to practice. He said, "You know, guys, there's nothing like football in Natick." And that stayed with me forever. Thank you.
The only thing a little like football in Natick was band. Leo Grady. Leo Grady, what an amazing hockey and baseball player. In the class of 1945. A two-sport athlete, hockey captain, member of varsity hockey, as a center for 3 years from 43 to 45, scored the most points in a 10-game season. Leading scorer in the Eastern Mass League for 1945, Eastern Mass League All-Star 1943 and 45. As captain in his senior year, he led the team to its first Hockey League championship in the history of Natick High School, and that was 1945. Baseball, left-handed pitcher and outfielder for varsity baseball for 3 years, led the team to the Class A state tourney in 45, invited by the Boston Braves for a tryout with the team. Scholastic Athlete Award and Best Male Athlete in 1945. Ladies and gentlemen, we're thrilled he's here tonight. Leo F. Grady. Congratulations. We're going to take a picture first.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And this is yours also.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much to the Hall of Honor. Thank you.
Miss Levitt, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be able to read this next amazing history and record. Class of 1952, Mary R. Levitt, field hockey, softball, and bowling. Outstanding multiple sport athlete, varsity field hockey for 3 years, basketball for 3 years, varsity softball 3 years. Invited to play for the Rockford Peaches professional baseball team. Girls bowling team for 3 years. Voted best girl athlete at Natick High School in 1952. President of the Girls Athletic League in her senior year. The first woman trainer in the Bay State League. Varsity softball coach for 18 years. And league champion 1967. And one of my special and most wonderful teachers at Natick High School. Also an amazing biology teacher. Ladies and gentlemen, Mary Levitt.
hold on. I haven't seen this big a crowd since I had cafeteria duty. Well, someone has to tell a few jokes around here. My brother told me not to, so I am. I've written it out because I'm afraid my old lungs have deteriorated with all that formaldehyde. Teaching biology in A&P. Thank you very much. I am completely overwhelmed. I accept this award for myself, my family, and my school, and especially for all the young women who were my teammates in the 1940s and 1950s, from Coolidge Junior High to Natick High School to the Fast Pitch Summer Leagues. My dear friends that I still see and hear from, except for one that is in heaven. Betty Stocks Crisafulli is not with us, but I see Marilyn Pacifici Honorato and Joan Musmaker and Jackie Tebow Norton, Marcy Tebow, Pat Mahoney, and our own little South Natick Indian, Ann Jocelyn. My supporters are right there at the table, Beth, Jane, Ann, Gail, and Mandy. They're all excellent student athletes at NHS. I made sure they got good grades. My niece, Kathy Levitt Morris, is there with her husband, Robbie. He played baseball on John Carroll's team. And Kathy did ballet and is now a wonderful nurse. My nephew Mark is on a business trip, so he is not able to be here. He was captain of the cross-country team, and he was quite good, except for one guy called Roberto Salazar. He could never beat him. I got the right name, didn't I? Yeah. Right, gee, what a runner. Seeing all you Natick High graduates, many of whom I had in class, I'm almost tempted to start a class, but I don't think you want me to start giving a dynamic lecture. Is it all right if I go on? Yes, you know, I'm old, so I get the privilege. I wish to thank my parents, my father's passion for fairness, and his patriotism in World War II. He was 39 when the war started for America, and he was determined to go and do his duty in the U.S. Navy. My mother, good heavens, thank her for her fighting Irish spirit and her love of Natick. I started my career as Dot Green did. At age 8, my brothers and I were allowed to go to Coolidge Field by ourselves. There we watched the older boys play baseball, and eventually we were able to have our own pickup games, and boy, did we learn from seeing the high school baseball teams there. Coached by the inimitable Charlie Marceau. Boy, is he one of a kind. I'm sorry, of course, Leo Grady was one that we watched play, and we learned a lot from him and the others. His picture is outside there. We shagged balls in the woods. We filled the water bottles and kept the bats straight. There's one thing Mr. Marceau could not stand, was bats that got crossed. Bob Carroll, no relation to John, I don't think. Phys ed teacher and later on coach of the 1951 state hockey champs, allowed me to play on the Lincoln School boys football and baseball teams in 5th and 6th grades. And Charlie Sticker, who we'll hear from, he and I were linebackers on defense. That's right. You know, when we, later on, I'll just cut short a little bit. When I got to coach at the high school, and Title IX went through, and the girls started getting wonderful schedules like the boys, and new balls and bats and uniforms. Although I think we got some cast-offs from that Fran Carey. He never let anything go back that didn't, he just, if he bought it, he kept it. He'd give it to somebody. Well, anyway, where was I? So when Title IX came through and things got better for the girls, some of us used to say, we older ones that didn't have those advantages, we were born 30 years too soon. But actually, we would never have had the memories that we have for the days when we were in high school. I want to thank my coaches from junior high, Connie O'Connor, who married Fran Carey. There's a good story in that itself when he was wooing her. We used to see him come down the corridor to the office there and say hello to Connie, and they were married the next year. He said he wanted a tall wife so his kids would be tall. He's a hot ticket. And my other coach, Dot Parmenter Buckley, Mrs. Bill Buckley, she is still alive, and some of you may have had her at Coolidge Junior High. Well, I'll go on. I had to, in 1966, A.D. Fran Carey asked me to take over as softball coach. What a thrill and an honor. 18 years ensued with a 5-year hiatus when I became president of the London Boss Hospital Board of Trustees. And I didn't come back again until 1979, when John Carroll hired me back as coach. And then he asked me to become an assistant trainer in 1978. So the girls would have a trainer as well as the boys. And it was really a great thrill. In 1974, my brother Bradford was the head trainer, and little did I know that 8 years later, he and I would be brother and sister trainers for the 1982 Super Bowl team. So I had some great players. I enjoyed coaching and teaching in Natick High, and all the memories that I have stay with me forever. It was an old song. I'd give a million yesterdays. I'm sorry. I'd give a million tomorrows for one yesterday. Remember that one. But here we are the fortunate ones where we are here at one tomorrow, collectively remembering a million yesterdays of many wins, some losses, but great friends, team pride, school loyalty, supportive families, and good press reports. I thank you again very much.
This is yours.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this is yours.
Oh. Oh, Robert.
And here, Mary, this is yours.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And as Miss Levitt takes her seat, I just want to mention that you may have thought you were born 30 years too early, Miss Levitt, but for the thousands of young female athletes who came after you, thank you for everything you did for them. I didn't do that well in biology. Yeah. James DiPaolo. Let me tell you about the former football, basketball, and baseball star, class of 1983, three-sport athlete, football captain, recipient of the Natick Rotary Club Award for MVP in 1982, voted MVP at the Thanksgiving Day game in '82. Coca-Cola Middlesex News Football Offensive Player of the Year, member of the 1982 Super Bowl championship team, baseball captain, Boston Globe Division I Baseball Player of the Year, '83. Boston Globe All-Scholastic Baseball Team, 1982 and '83. Middlesex News Baseball Player of the Year, '82, '83. Named to the gold medal winning Eastern Team Baseball Sports Festival in Colorado Springs, 1983. Member of the silver medal winning Baseball U.S. Junior National Team in '83. Basketball. Co-captain the Natick High School Bay State League Championship Baseball Team. basketball team, excuse me, and also recipient of the Lieutenant William J. Kavanaugh Memorial Scholarship for Excellence in Sportsmanship, Scholarship, and Service to Others, and voted the best male athlete at Natick High School the year 1983. And here for Jimmy DiPaolo, his wife Linda, and sister Lisa. Come on up. I'm guessing you're not the wife. Can we take a picture? Want to go over here and take a picture?
I just want to say thank you on behalf of my husband Jimmy, myself, and my daughter Taylor for this great honor. We're so proud of him. My sister-in-law Lisa will be reading Jim's words on his behalf. Thank you.
Jim apologizes for not being able to be here tonight. His work has kept him in the UK, but he wants me to thank his wife, his daughter, as well as his family, and particularly his parents tonight. He'd like to thank his coaches, his teammates, and the fans, and all the remarkable people of the town who made this a special place to grow up and allowed him to play in such top-notch programs. People like Coach Lamb, Coach Galani, and Coach Crow taught him many things beyond the field or the court. And I'd like to remember those who are no longer here, who had an imposing influence on me, especially John Carroll, who I have the utmost respect and admiration for. He worked tirelessly for me and was a big influence on my decision to attend Harvard University. And I'll always be grateful for Andy Checky for watching out for me during those years and being my biggest supporter. It was a great privilege to have the opportunity to play for such an outstanding school. The program, the coaches, the facilities, the fans, and the athletes were always first class. When you're a kid, you take things for granted and don't realize what you have at the time. I just assumed it was normal to play for league championships, to play in state tournaments, and then win state championships. It was not until I went on to college that I saw the respect that other athletes had for our Natick program, and I realized how lucky I was to have been able to play and learn at such a notable place. The fans make Natick a great place to play. I have so many wonderful memories, thanks to everyone. All the faithful fans who sat behind the backstop at Mahan Field, telling me exactly what I was doing wrong. The wonderful fans who packed the gym and made it easy to put forward a solid effort. And of course, to the thousands of fans who packed Memorial Field on Friday nights during that championship season in the fall of 1982. And of course, who will forget the Super Bowl? Seeing so many thousands of Natick fans at Sullivan Stadium, most of whom rushed onto the field after the game, watching these fans lined up in the streets of downtown as we made our way back into Natick, and to see the significant amount of people who packed the school parking lot as we drove in. Thanks. We had many great rivalries during that time. Nothing was better than playing in a big game that really mattered against an opponent who, although you respected, you couldn't wait to beat. In football, it was Walpole. Basketball was Framingham North. And finally, there was Braintree in baseball. I will never forget one of the most anticipated baseball games when we faced Braintree and Alvin Taylor hit 3 home runs to single-handedly make it a complete trouncing. Over the years, I have come to be friends with athletes who played at these other schools. Due to the name on the front of their shirts, I did not particularly care for them in high school. However, I've come to realize that they weren't all that bad. The friendships made during these years were extraordinary. Although we have all gone our separate ways, there remains a bond from those distinctive moments and experiences we shared. Again, thank you very much for this very elite honor. These years at Natick High School, I will never forget.
Coach Charlie Marceau. Baseball, 1937 through 1955. Baseball, Natick native, athlete, teacher, and coach. Although born without a full right hand, he overcame his physical handicap to become one of the premier pitchers in the golden age of Natick High School baseball. Head baseball coach from 1936 to 1955. His Natick High School baseball teams capped 3 Central Mass Championships, 8 Bay State crowns, and were East Massachusetts finalists 3 times. Also played at Braves Field. He enjoyed a Natick High School career teaching biology from 1936 to 73. He earned a full baseball scholarship to Boston College because of his merit from Natick High School. And he was later inducted into the Boston College Hall of Fame. And accepting for Coach Marceau, his son Peter. All right, good to see you.
This is yours here, too.
Mary Bailey, Donna Collins.
How you doing? This has been a very emotional day for me. Actually, the last 2 weeks have. I grew up in Hopkinton. Dad moved to Hopkinton in 1953, and we stayed there till the end. And I had a chance to go to Natick High School where Coach me and Billy took me around and took me into the library. Showed me all the old pictures, you know, like that. And I had never seen those pictures before. And I know Mary Levitt taught school with my dad. I know they were like next door rooms, whatever, so had a lot in common. Dad really enjoyed Natick. He grew up in Natick. He was born in Natick. He coached the 1st Legion team in Natick and the high school team as well, Coolidge Field, and he talked a lot about some of his players over the years. A lot of his ball players that were also on that championship football team. But I had never met any of these people. So fortunately enough, tonight I started meeting them. I just couldn't believe it. It had taken me this long to get to know these people because, of course, I didn't have the Natick connection. I had the Hopkinton connection. Now, Dad was born with a very deformed hand. And in order for him to make it, he was going to have to go into a field where he could possibly use one hand and also pitch in baseball. And he had a stub. He was a left-hander, but the right hand was a stub. So he had to figure a way that he could catch the balls on the line drive back or bat. So what he did was he took a glove and he cut the fingers of the glove. He took a boxing glove, put the boxing glove around into the glove so he could have support. But of course he had one other problem. He had to bat because there was no designated hitter back in the 30s and 40s. And so what he would do is he would just hold the bat in the grip, and I'm sure his players that are here today can tell you about it. He'd punch him over second, punch him over third. But anyway, Dad took the baseball job from a gentleman named Buck Donahue. And that was in 1936, after he graduated from Boston College. We had an outstanding career. He was in the Boston College Hall of Fame, and he lost one game in college for 4 years. And he got his biology job at the high school. And he taught with Tass Felides, who's here today, and Mary as well. And some of his ball players that I had heard him talk about for many, many years, and I finally got an opportunity to see them tonight. And I'm just going to read off some names, and if I missed anybody, I'm very sorry. I did a lot of research. Charlie Sticker, Leo Grady, Donnie Butters, Jackie Allen, Dick Clasby, Eddie Clasby, Wally Montgomery, Put Morgan, Vanjie Sticker, Jimmy Aja, Sibba Grassi, Muzzy and Junie Franjos, Frank Vericchione, Lester Leland, Richie Paul, Doc Grady, Angelo Lefter, Jimmy Arena, Tommy Adler. Now, I met a lot of these people tonight, and they had some fantastic stories to tell me. Those pictures out there are just unbelievable. Coolidge Field, that was Natick baseball. That's where you played Natick baseball. And the high school was downtown. Didn't move up to the new high school until 1955, but it was all Coolidge Field. I was a bat boy on the team. Little do I remember, but I do remember the rivalries, the Jack Daniels in Framingham, the Scafati's over in Needham, Hal Goodnow at Wellesley. And the Bay State League actually didn't get started till sometime in the 50s. Back then, to make the state tournament, you had to be selected. So they only took 8 teams into the tournament. And Natick went in many, many times. They played at Braysfield, they played at Fenway Park. They were in the state finals at Fenway Park and Braysfield. A lot of these gentlemen are here today. They'll tell you all about it. It was all Natick High School baseball, but biology was a love of his also. So I was very fortunate to have been brought up under a fine athlete, as he is, as he was. And we moved to Hopkinton, and we had a baseball field in the backyard. Took the chicken coop, make a backstop so that we could hit. That's where it started. And Dad traveled from Hopkinton to Natick every day down the back road. There he spent 35 years in the Natick school system. And he would be very proud today to have known what you people did for him, that nobody forgot about him. And also, I just want to congratulate these other inductees, Darren Flutie and Jimmy DiPaolo. I remember both of them were on that American Legion baseball team that went to Fargo, North Dakota. Bob Galani played for my dad. I think Bob was in the last baseball team. But, I just want to say that I'm very thankful for all this, and, I'm sure he is proud and he's watching somewhere. And also, I just wanted to thank the committee for allowing me to come to Natick High School and go in the library and go through all the books and stuff in the 30s or 40s. It's kind of sad to have me see the high school moving, because sentimentally I'd like to keep it right where it is, because those are my memories. And, but I just want to thank everybody for doing this for us, for my family. And also, I brought some friends for me from Hopkinton that I met through my years up in Hopkinton. We moved up there was 5,000 people in the town. There was no street lights, auxiliary fire department. Now it's just boomed up into 18,000 people. Brian King came. He was a Natick boy. He was a swimming coach at Hopkinton High School. Steve Simos played at Boston College, won a state championship for Hopkinton. In baseball, Mark Stickney is the present Hopkinton baseball coach and a member of the Hall of Fame. Lou Ottaviani played at Framingham, coaches the Framingham Legion, outstanding athlete. Jeff Stone, who I met at Framingham State when I was a student, he worked in Natick for a good many years. Now he's off to Suffolk. He's the head trainer. Billy Cunis, who was a friend of mine from way back, is also in the Boston College Hall of Fame. He was inducted a few years back, and he's been very, very good to me. Mr. Steve Ryder, who I haven't seen in a long time, and I worked with him up at Framingham State. We had a lot of good memories up there on the hill, and I get to see all these people today. But thank you very much, and I'm sure Dad would be very proud of you. And just never forget those state final teams, because he talked an awful lot about it, And if I didn't mention your name, I'm sorry. I know Mr. Tatuni played too, right? No, you didn't play baseball? Oh, okay. Oh, he's your biology teacher. Okay. Well, if you were a good baseball player, I'm sure you got a B. I'm sure you did. One thing that happened, he put Muzzy Franjos out on the roof one day, downtown Natick, the high school, and left him out there. Muzzy was acting up in class, and he told Muzzy to get out on the roof. So he stayed up and put Muzzy out on the roof. Next thing you know, school ended, he went home, and Muzzy's still on the roof. At 6:30, Muzzy's still up on the roof. But he was a very gentle guy. I miss him, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. Thank you very much. And thanks.
Yeah, I remember that, Dad. You bet. You bet I do. Yeah. That's mine. That's mine. You get yours. That's yours.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
papers are mine. And this. That's yours.
Thank you.
Darren Flutie. Let me tell you about Darren. Football, basketball, baseball. Class of 1984, three-sport athlete. Football, captain. Two-time All-Scholastic, 1983-84 for the Division I Natick High State Champion football team. Graduated as the all-time leading rusher in Natick High School history. Varsity career from 1982 to 84. Scored the winning touchdown and two-point conversion in the Division I State Football Championship, defeating Melrose 35-34. That was in 1983. Basketball, captain, all-conference 1984 season. Guard in the Bay State Championship basketball team at Natick High, 1984. Baseball, captain, two-time All-Scholastic for the Division I Natick High State Champion baseball team in 1983 and 84, and a member of the Division I State Champion team 1982. I am very proud to say that Darren Flutie and his beautiful wife are both friends of mine, and I have a great honor tonight to be able to say congratulations, Darren Flutie. Take a picture?
Oh, yeah. There you go, pal. Congratulations. Appreciate it. What do you want me to say?
Whatever you want.
I'll be very brief.
You only have a half hour.
We got a half hour? That's yours too. In that case, relax. Kick back. Well, thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee. Paul mentioned it early, and when Coach Galani was up here, just a great idea, and I think it brings back the tradition of Natick, which, you know, at times may have seemed like it left a little bit, but it really brings back all the years, and to see these teams from 1944 last year and 49, and see those members of those teams back, it's awesome. I can't imagine doing that like 40 years from now. It'd be crazy. And Susan, I see Susan everywhere. I mean, who doesn't? If you go to any charity event or anything that's a great cause, you're at it, and you're always mentioning Natick and how great Natick. There is no better ambassador for Natick than Susan, and thank you so much for everything you do for this town. Thank you. Again, I'd like to congratulate the other inductees. A special place, at least in my heart, for Jim DiPaolo. I was sad to see Jim wasn't here tonight. I was the following year to Jim. Jim was a senior when I was a junior. And I remember coming home from Coolidge Middle School and telling my father that I had met the greatest athlete I had ever seen. And he would tell me, no, your brother Doug is the greatest athlete. I said, Dad, you haven't seen this kid, Jim DiPaolo. He's amazing. I'm telling you, he's amazing. You know, you think your dad would say, no, Darren, you're pretty good. But he jumped straight to Doug, but that's a different story. And Coach Galani, so many great memories from Coach Galani. I'm so proud to be inducted as the same year as Bob Galani. He was a great coach. I had him in baseball and football, but I especially remember him in football. he made us do those stupid monkey rolls, which to this day I would tell him there's no benefit for that in football. And you're jumping over another guy, he jumps over you. It's like, but a tremendous coach. Two very vivid memories. One would be the Needham game, my junior year, when unfortunately Bob had the heart attack that year, probably because Paul had thrown another interception. But that was not the reason. Paul, you didn't throw an interception in that game, but it was a tough game. Should have been a tough game. But that was, of course, a sad moment. And like everything else he's done in his life so well with his family, his kids, and now with his grandchildren and his wonderful wife, he worked so diligently to come back from that and stay with Natick and coach and teach right up until a few years ago. And just so proud to be inducted in the same year as Coach Galani. So congratulations, Coach Galani. I also would have to thank Coach Lamb. So much fun to play for Tom Lamb at Natick High School. I don't know anyone that played for him that wouldn't say that. Thank you. It meant so much to us those years. I mean, we no question had tremendous players. I mean, there weren't enough footballs for the teams we had. You know, you see Jim get inducted. I'm fortunate enough to get inducted. I see Joe Crisafoli out there. He was in the backfield. Dave Morrill, Wes Manderson, Paul Galani. This team was amazing. Dean Halatics here tonight. Glenn Chavis was here earlier. You didn't even need to run that fast to carry the football for teams back then. I mean, you could have run a 5 flat and scored 20 touchdowns. It's such a great football team, and I was so proud to be a part of it. So thank you, Coach Lamb, and thank you, teammates that I played with. Obviously, Coach Carroll was a great influence in those baseball teams. That was so much fun. And again, I was just lucky to be a part of those teams. Great players like Alvin Taylor and Paul Galani was on those teams. And Donnie Hutchinson, who has recently passed away, I wanted to mention Donnie. He was a great player for us at Natick High School. But most of all, I would just say I'm so proud that I played at Natick High School. I went on and played at Boston College, had my cup of coffee in the NFL, played a few years there, played up in the Canadian Football League. Played with some great people, had some great victories, had some great championships, but none of those moments would ever surpass the moments I had at Natick High School. The championships we won at Natick, the teammates I had at Natick, the teachers I had at Natick, but most of all the friendships I made at Natick last me forever, and those are my fondest memories in my life, without a doubt. I mean, that's the first thing I thought of when Coach Bushenfeld called me and told me I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, is that means the most to me than anything that's ever happened to me as far as an award. Lastly, in closing, I just want to thank my beautiful wife, Terry, who I know this is for Natick High School. And in Natick High School, she probably wouldn't even have talked to me going down the hallway, and I don't blame her. But certainly, she became the best part of my life, and because of us getting together and getting married, we have 2 beautiful children, Troy and Taylor, and I'd like to thank them for everything they do every day. My family, like most people, means the most to me. So thank you, Terry, Taylor, and Troy, and thank you again, everyone in Natick and the Hall of Fame committee. Thank you.
Here. This is yours. It's a great speech.
Thank you.
Robert A. Whalen, coach, track and football, 1959 through 1977. Track. Head coach for indoor and outdoor track, from 1959 through 72. Multiple Bay State League and Greater Boston Track Championships. 112 wins and 24 losses in his 10-plus year career. Won 56 consecutive dual meet victories, won 7 Massachusetts state titles, named the Massachusetts Track Coach of the Year in 1968. Football. Coached football from 1959 to 1977. Varsity football head coach from 74 through 77. And coached first Natick High School Super Bowl team in 1974. And he was truly a great guy. I didn't know him from athletics, but I knew him from being in the halls at Natick High School. And I knew him from being a role model, and I knew him as a guy who just really cared and knew the names of all the kids and had something nice to say to all the kids, whether you played for him or not. And so to be able to induct him tonight is truly special. Accepting for Coach Whalen, his son Tim. You take a picture?
Robin, do you want to come up and do this? Actually, I've been watching American Idol a lot lately, so I was thinking of singing this. But, no. Thank you, Susan. On behalf of my family, just one second. I'd like to thank the committee for selecting my father to the Natick Athletic Hall of Fame. He would be proud. To paraphrase the fight song we are all familiar with, we're from Natick, and no one could be prouder than we are of our dad. I'd also like to congratulate the other inductees, my biology teacher, Miss Levitt. I got all A's, right, Miss Levitt? And Coach Galani, who was my sophomore football coach, sophomore baseball. I remember my sophomore year, we had 130 kids on the sophomore football team. It was incredible experience. I think I was about fifth string linebacker at the time. But, and I'd also like to congratulate my brother Jeff and the 74 football team. I read the article Lenny Migliola wrote in Metro West about this year's recipients. When he mentioned my father, he wrote, and quote, "The beloved coach Bob Whalen," end quote, which meant a lot to us. My father loved Natick and the kids he taught and coached. He loved the other coaches and teachers that he worked with. They were among his best friends. He's being recognized tonight for his achievements as a coach, but as many of you in the audience know, he was more than that. Like any great coach, he was an educator and he was a motivator. He could teach sports because he had a great athletic career himself. He was in the Hall of Fame at Boston University. Was currently at New England College Football Awards are named in his honor, and every year, annually, the college coaches and players gather for the Bob Whalen College Football Awards night. He was a great motivator because he cared about the student athlete, the person. Following his untimely death in 1999, I can't tell you how many times, how many wonderful letters and comments our family received from former players who went into coaching because of him, or just wanted to tell us how much of an influence he was on their lives. He could be tough. Everyone remembers the coach or teacher that pushed you further than you thought you could go. For me, it was my dad. Football would end on Thanksgiving every year, and on Monday, track would start. We thought we were in shape from football. Forget about it. He would work us so hard that we were guaranteed to be physically sick every day for the first week. But that is why his track teams were so successful. He won multiple league titles and state titles because everyone on the team was in shape. As for my memories, I can't recall us talking in detail about what happened in athletic events, but I always knew he would be asking about classes and would always know when a big test was coming up. Even in college, when he was still coaching and couldn't attend many of my games, he would mostly ask two questions. How are your classes, and did you go to church? My father started teaching and coaching in Natick around 1960. I can still remember sitting in the freezing cold. I was 6, watching Natick lose for the first time in 19 years to Framingham. Walt Riniak, everyone called him Butch, was thrown out of the game for coming to the aid of a teammate. Surely if he had stayed in the game, we would have won by 20. The 60s were a simpler time, as many of you know. Football was the only game in town during the fall, and it seemed like the whole town was there at the games. I remember all the coaches' wives received chrysanthemums they wore at the Thanksgiving game. My brother and Bobby were lucky enough to stand on the sidelines and watch great players perform like Joe Pryor, Teddy Bracken, Timmy McInderfer, Paul Peters, Steve Gallant, Billy Pettingill. I could go on and on. The great coaches at the time were part of the town's fabric and character. Great men like Dan Bennett, John Carroll, Bob Galani, Swede Benson, Fran Collins, Lou Colombo, and Charlie Christie. And a little later, Tom Lamb, who's the person who succeeded my father as the head coach. They were all tough but very fair. As our family grew to be the Jamas and Whalens, everyone was involved. The boys were playing and the girls were cheering or on the pep squad, whatever it took to support Natick. As our mother would tell you, just getting all 11 to school every morning was hysterical. On Saturday mornings, the air was filled with intensity, anticipation, and excitement. What type of person was my father? Unassuming, high sense of integrity, and at the same time, he had a great sense of humor. He used to love to play tricks on people with a track starter's gun. Not very PC today. Another time I remember during practice when we were running plays and all the gaps in the line between, if you had the gaps between the center and the guard and the tackle, they were all numbered, odd numbers on the left, even numbers on the right. And it was early in the year and one of our linemen, I remember, kept going the wrong way. Finally, my father ran over to the player. He said, "Why are you going to the wrong hole?" And the player didn't have an answer, and he said, "Give me an odd number." Without hesitation, the player said, 6. He never underestimated an opponent. We might be playing a team that was 0-8, and he would still look worried. He would always make a comment like, "Oh, they have a great running back that could beat us." He expected his players to exhibit great sportsmanship. For track meets, we used to take a bus from Natick to Boston and run at the old Commonwealth Armory, where the Agganis Arena is now. He would always stand up before we departed the bus and let everyone know that they were representing Natick, and he expected us to act like gentlemen. No monkey business. We were too afraid to get in trouble. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, and I think this speaks to my dad's legacy, "The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well." Thank you.
I think he took mine. Tim, did you take my last page? And this is also a very special guy, Charlie Sticka. Class of 1951, football, basketball, baseball, indoor and outdoor track. 4-sport athlete for 3 years. Football, co-captain 1950, 3-year average of 9.6 yards, carry scored close to 200 points. Sons of Italy football, most valuable player trophy 1950. Member of the Boston Post All-Scholastic Football Team 1950. Member of the Boston Globe All-Scholastic Football Team 1950. Member of the Boston Herald All-Scholastic Football Team 1950. All-American Schoolboy Football All-Stars 1950. Baseball, member of the Boston Dental Board. Sorry, Charlie, I just couldn't resist it. Member of the Boston Post All-Scholastic Baseball Team, 1951. Member of the Boston Globe All-Scholastic Baseball Team, 1951. Member of the Boston Herald All-Scholastic Baseball Team, 1951. The William Flanagan Trophy, 1949. Midlandling All-Stars member, 1949. Bay State League All-Star member for 3 years, and the Natick High School Athlete of the Year Award, 1951. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Charlie Sticker. Take a picture. Good.
I'll put this at your table. Okay. Mr. President, and the Executive Board, committee members of the Hall of Fame, all the other inductees for this evening, when I received a call from Kurt notifying me that I was going to be one of the 2011 inductee to the Natick Hall of Fame, I felt that I had finally come home to Natick. Natick has been all my whole life, rich in tradition and spirit. It is truly the home of champions. I've grown up with names of Eddie Casey, Ned Mahan, and many others that I have personally been with and have seen that have had an influence on my life and my development. Nick Christie, my cousin, who from Natick ended up going on to the University of Alabama as a pre-med student, whose career fell short because of his father being shot in his place of business in 1933. I've got Kachi Sargent, who was an outstanding runner under Henry Ploss, and it was stated by him one time that Kachi was probably one of his better running backs. I stood next to Ed Clasby and Bob Palladino. I was amazed at the kicking that Ed Clasby did and the running that Bob Palladino did. Both went to Notre Dame and finally finished up their college career at Boston College. I've got fellas like Junie Franchos, and I know that I'm going to go out on a limb for this, but Vanjie Sticker. Both well known in Natick, and both good runners. I found myself running within my heart, within my mind, and with my body with all of these people. And these are the things that I looked at the time that I was growing up within this town. I have to take the time to pay tribute to those who made us what we were then, and more importantly, who we are today. And I can start off in Coolidge Junior High School with Coach Linton and Francis Carey. In Natick High School, Henry Ploss, Jerry Slamman, Bob Carroll, Charlie McManus, Dyke Quackenbush, Bob Andrews, Francis Carey and his brother Bill, and Charlie Marceau. They taught us to walk tall and stand tall, in building us to the highest potential of our character, with values of honesty, courage,
passion, integrity, and self-control. Again, they made us who we are today. I seem to have everybody with me tonight. I'd like to introduce you to a few of them, or all of them, I guess. I've got my brother, as you all know, and his wife Shirley, sitting at our table. Older son Greg, with his wife Persephone, and my grandson Nicholas, my granddaughter Charlie. There's another Charlie in the family. I've got my younger son Bill and his wife Victoria, and his young son of 1 year old. I've got all my nieces and my nephews out there, okay? And I've got the whole Tatuni clan here as I represent their godfather, as my father represented the original Tatuni family. So this is just sort of a passing of one generation to the other. There was another affair, something like this, that I ended up asking my wife to stand up in the midst of 500 plus people so that I had witnesses to tell her that I loved her from the bottom of my heart. And I lost her a year and a half ago, and I'd like to be able to say that same thing tonight for her, that I do still love her from the bottom of my heart. What the committee has done, and the executive board, and most importantly, you people of Natick, what you have done for me this night is making me part of Natick's tradition and spirit, which is making me right now feel like I'm 10 feet tall. I want to thank everybody for this, and I love you all. Is that short and sweet? I thought you were going to start playing the music. Thank you, David.
Oh, Charlie, it was a great speech. Yeah, I thought maybe now it'd be nice to go around the room and ask you each to stand and say a little something about yourselves. Show of hands. How many of you are from Natick? I just love that, huh? Is this like the best night? Just tell me, did you have a good time? Let's hear it once more for all of the inductees tonight and for the greatest town in the history of the country. Come on back, Rick. Oh, for me. Thank you.
I'd like to, again, to thank Susan for she is here, like Darren said, no matter what the occasion, we know we can count on her, and she always does a great job.
I love being here, thank you. It's my honor to be here. It's my honor to do anything always and forever for Natick. Thank you.
It's on order. Again, I'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight as we... I know. That's last. Yeah. You think I'm going to be able to thank anybody after Vanjie sings? That's going to be the end. Again, I'd like to thank you all for coming. It's an honor for me to be part of this, and we hope that this will be a yearly thing. So again, I encourage you, in the booklet, at the back of the booklet, there is a form. We encourage you to fill it out for anyone that you feel is warranted to be a member of this elite club, if you will. Two things. One, this is not like a wedding where somebody at the table gets the centerpiece. Unfortunately, those trophies have to go back. So please don't take them home. And lastly, I'm going to try to get this mic over. Vanjie has had knee replacement surgery, but he is going to come up and he's going to end this evening with the Natick fight song. Vanjie, stick. Band, you want to do it from here? You want to do it from here? Oh, maybe, actually, there you go. I'm sorry. I thought it was attached.
Okay, everybody, I'm gonna sing the Natick fight song, and I want everybody out here clap. All right? When Natick High goes marching down the field, you know the day will never yield. Although the other team march up front, when they meet Natick High, they'll know they're out of step. And when this game goes down in history, to be another Natick victory. So let the cheers ring out for Natick High, rah, rah, team.